Anyhow,
Too much information.
okay.
I hope he took it out.
I don't know if Laura's put it out yet, but I made a handout to go with it, so it explains some of this stuff. A few years back, I was looking up on, designs for Russian nuclear submarine propulsion systems, and I was deep into it, and my computer just completely flipped over and went to this thing called, these women do this stuff called cup turning. I don't know if any of you ever heard of it. They get a barbecue rotisserie motor and a little stand for like 30 bucks from Amazon, and it comes with a piece of PVC and a big piece of foam, and they get these like 16 and 20 ounce cups, for coffee and whatever, and driving around all day, and they just stuff it on that foam, and they put stamps and pictures of their kids and all this cool stuff, if you're like Dylan Mulvaney or something, and they spin them, and I was absolutely floored. I thought, 40 years ago, I made those Cypress clocks and sold them to the guys I worked with and everything. And you always think anything that doesn't sit on the flat thing just runs off into a big pile on the ground below it. And I saw these things, and I said, God, they're pouring all this stuff all over it, completely coating, and the most you get is a couple drops, a few drops on the below it. If you want to, you can stick it up and do it again. So the first one I made was about this long, and what I did was, every time you get one of these, they also give you the shaft that goes with it. And I rigged up a little thing, and I've got a screw in here because these things aren't made fancy. They're not high. You'd be embarrassed if you saw it. I mean, being an engineer, these things are just stamped out in China. And sometimes this will start, as it's turning, it'll roll out, and that's a problem when you've got a thing with epoxy because you can't grab it. So I just stick a little screw in through this thing when it's on this side, when I get it in here. And what you do, you get some PVC parts, and they're all common things you find at Home Depot, and you make your a little thing that holds it, and you have the female part right here, and you get your thing, you've already finished it, whatever, and you screw this little puppy on here.
You're not allowed to call it female or male anymore.
No, I know. There's only 2 genders in the hardware store, thank God. The progressive hasn't got there yet, God knows.
We're going to call it that.
Yeah, that's it.
And
So Gary, did you at one point use a microwave turntable motor?
hang on, we're coming to that.
Oh.
Quit jumping ahead. Somebody stick him in the corner, keep an eye on him for a few minutes, please.
He's in charge of the remote, you can't touch it.
The thing about these things turn at about 3 RPM. And when I first did it, it was amazing. And Mr. Igor called me, a year and a half ago, and down near where he lives, somebody was cutting this Norfolk Island pine. What was that thing, 80 feet high, 90 feet? And we filled my truck. And I brought some over to, I think I made 2 trips, took some over to Ron's, and I had some. And I had them sitting in my yard for, cut them all up. And I had them sitting in my yard for months. I think I go out to Colorado from July to like October every year with my wife and see my oldest son and whatever. And came back and they had spalted really good. And I think all of you know that Norfolk pine spalts a lot. It gets to the point where it starts to get just miserable to stand. It's not a problem doing this, but down on the inside, this was I think the only one I had left. I had a ton of about this size or that size, and I've sold them all. But I'll pass this around. This is a piece of really spalted. I didn't coat the bottom, but I may in future ones because then it just makes it really smooth. This is about 3 coats on real spalted softwood like this. The first coat you do will completely absorb. It looks like you didn't do anything. There'll be a couple spots. The second coat, it starts looking good. Third coat, you're home. And I've had good hardwoods. I think that's 1 coat there. That was some mahogany or something. And one of the things nice about the epoxy, if you have some really crappy wood and it's starting to go and it's got cracks in it. When you cover it with epoxy, those cracks had turned into these just nice black lines. It looks just great. This one got nicked up something or something.
Gary, are the color variations of the one spinning done before the epoxy, or that is the
Yeah,
epoxy?
yeah. Epoxy's the last thing you do.
Okay.
And everybody goes, well,
And that's
what?
always clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the epoxy, you get it up, I think in the hand that I've got, you get up at Oakland Park near where Leak Sky is, 2 gallons, $94. And you can do a poo-poo load of coatings before you burn through 2 gallons.
You can tint the epoxy or put.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can put.
Yeah, you can put, I've done it where I've made, I'll get to that too. You're
Well,
ahead of the
when you
game.
were saying clear,
This guy's brain is on fire, he travels so fast.
Hey, listen, I spent 3 hours with you when you were setting this up, so.
Here, take it, pass it around. That's 3 coats, and you know, I tell everybody, we make them around, God did all the work, He does magnificent work, and then you throw epoxy on it. And I've done, you know, I'll do them in, and to show that how good this machine will work, because you wonder how strong is it or whatever. Well, if somebody throws a pig on the barbecue pit, they probably got 25 pounds, so that's not a problem. All this stuff here is just some extra stuff. In case you have, I have a picture on my phone or somewhere. This fits down in these T-tracks. This is no Igor style high engineering. This is just crap I had laying around the house. I slide this on here. I have a tailstock. There's a bearing here, and I had this sitting on here, and this was just jammed up against here, and this held the other end because it's kind of heavy, sitting this way, hanging on there. It did fine. Let me turn this off.
You didn't have a stabilizer at the mouth? Just rod?
Well, I had it on a chuck, and I'll show you here. Now this is for small stuff here. Get this thing out of here.
Do you have to sand in between coats? No.
And that's why I go. Don't touch it. You will. I don't care. You can get 86 million micro grit something, and you will not get it as clear. If you screw it up, and it'll happen something. You'll find, oh shit, there's a dry spot there. You just spread the epoxy out. There are bubbles. You got to watch for them. That's why bubbles come up from where there's holes down in the wood a little bit, like maybe a little borer beetle hole in there. Hey, I'll show you how to do it. It's just no effort. It's just you throw another coat. You let it sit 4 hours spinning. Turn off the motor and let it sit 4 more hours, and you are done. I like to time it. I do 1 coat in the morning, 1 coat in the afternoon. By overnight, you don't have to worry about, if I touch it, is it going to leave fingerprints? And it's done. This stuff is wonderful. It's boat epoxy. And Lee told me the other day that if you pay $3 more at that place, Easy Resin, or whatever it's called, it's in the thing, $3 more, they have UV stuff. So in the future, I'll buy that. That way, if somebody puts, you put stuff by a window, with lacquer or anything, it's not a good idea, but with the UV protection, it would be like spar varnish. But I think this is 1 coat. I'll pass it around.
Did you buff this?
No, I don't. You don't touch it. Every once in a while, I may take some just some car wax, throw it on there to make it feel nice.
No dust in it at all?
There's no touching it. You do not touch it. It's so simple. I tell everybody it's like cheating. So I'll pass this one around. I'll pass a couple more around. You can just keep shoveling these down. You can see them.
When you put the colors on, they were vertical at that time, right?
Yep. You can look up acrylic pores on the internet. That's how I found that.
What happened on the inside of this? Did this go through it, or did you put some?
I threw some in there. I just wherever I could stick it. I didn't want to waste a whole lot of epoxy getting all that because I knew it would absorb the hell out of it, and most people don't care anyhow. I used to agonize over vases and getting down in it, you burn your fingers up like they've been napalm, sand them. I don't even bother anymore. They like the outside and how it looks, and what, you can spend an extra hour and get another $10.
There's oil paint?
No, it's acrylic.
I mean the color?
Acrylic paint.
Oh, okay.
It's Modern Masters. You can get all these little kits at Michael's and all.
Yeah.
You're actually able to get inside the rim, too.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah, as it's turning, I'll show you how to do it in a minute. Now, then the next one I did, I thought, okay, if you got one on a chuck, stand by 1 second, it's in here.
1,001, too late.
Go sit back with.
There's a chuck there.
Anyhow, when I left the house, I'm sure I put a 1 inch, you can, I think you can go to, place where they sell all the, like cowboy stuff and feed and all that.
Grits?
Not Griff, well, maybe, there are hardware stores all around the country,
Oh, Tractor Supply.
Tractor Supply, you can get 1 by 8 inch bolts. Most of our chucks that we use all around here are 1 by 8 inch bolts. I can pass this around in a minute. This is a 1 by 8 inch bolt. Put it in your lathe, center drill it, and I epoxied this thing in there. I think I dropped it in the pin a little bit. This goes in here, got a piece of rod, took a grinder and just made it squared off the end so it would fit into this real sloppy fit square thing here. Then I put this guy against here. This is a bearing surface. This is just for doing heavy stuff. And if you have something sitting on your chuck, I do all of my things before, they're all cut off at the end. They all have a tenon like the one going around. I do everything with a tenon. You already have your center point from when you first roughed it out. So that's already set. This is cheap and cruddy, and I put some wax on. You don't really need to. You kick it on, and you have your chuck on here in a piece. There you go. And that's the bigger one. And then I think I showed you this thing for like a long one. This one was on here. It had a tenon. It was in the chuck, and it did fine. If you think it's like it wants to slide out, I usually jack it up just a little bit, stick a piece of wood or whatever under there so it's just up just a little bit, and you just cover some newspaper on there. Then, and I'll pass this around. Here is one of the plastic fittings, 1 inch PVC fittings. All I did, here's another thing, the finished product. I turn on, you got a lathe, so you got it made. Just get a little piece of wood, anything you got laying around, turn it to fit in there, nice jam fit, and you super glue it or a little epoxy or whatever, and you have that center drilled also. And what this does, you saw the thing there, this screws onto here, and you go from inside out. Well, this doesn't go on this one because it's this is the one for the bolt for the chuck. Oh, here's my bolt, like from Tractor Supply. Get a bolt. Make this thing right here. This was a longer one. I don't know. I probably cut that one off. Drill it all the way through, and then you stick your. And I was always using my old note, my G3 chuck. This little one's even easier. You're good to go. It'll hold it. You can put plenty of weight on it. It'll keep turning. Then the second one, I said, well, sometimes I feel like dragging this out of my shelf in my garage and all. So I said, let me try a microwave motor. How long, will it burn up? We can, usually you hit your microwave, you hit 30 seconds or 45 seconds. Can it run 8 hours? I'm going to find out. They're cheap. And little thing here.
Did you have any trouble with the rotisserie motors running for
Nope,
8 hours?
I've done 50 on there. It's fine. I had a piece fall off one time. That's why I put that the screw behind here, so this on the other one, so it won't slide out of there. I learned. Now here's a little one here, and this one, when I first got my first microwave motor, it just had this. This doesn't fit on here. I have a. Here we go. Voila. Hand cap, you talked about, can you tint the epoxy in water? You can tint it and do it, and you can make, I'll pass this around. I also made one where you can do, 4 at once. I rigged each switch so it would do 2 at once, and you can order these things up on the internet, and some of them were different than other ones, so I just turned a piece of wood that would jam fit in there. And you kick this thing on, you can turn 4 of these at once for doing like bottle stoppers and all. And again, Don't touch anything with sandpaper. Keep your cabbage collectors out of the sandpaper box. Just coat it. If it looks like crap, if there's a dead spot, throw another coat.
It's almost self-leveling.
It does self-level
Yeah.
because it's going 4 RPM. I tell everybody it's like cheating. It's wonderful because, you know, and I like to make matte finish stuff too. Matter of fact, this one I had done epoxy, and I think at my last thing I mixed it bad. You're going to have a screw up now and then. Don't worry about it. Don't get depressed. I mean, the good thing that happened was the first one of these that I did, it came out good. It's nothing like success the first time, because of you know, like the old saying, you do good, you get an attaboy, and after 100 you can leave men and all, but one-off shit anywhere along the way, all those attaboys get wiped out. But whatever, that's what they used to say in the police department. Yeah. Anyhow, you can see that turns there. This is nothing here but to support it. That's all this was over here for the shorter ones. I added this for the longer ones. It holds all the weight, including the chuck. Not a problem at all. The little guy, you can do smaller ones on this too. I have a rig.
While it's spinning, how do you apply the epoxy?
I'm going to show you right now.
Or do you apply it first and then spin it? Or you start it spinning and...
Nope. You get like for like those things I passed around, these smaller guys here.
Yeah.
I ordered these cups from Amazon, like 500 of them for, I don't know, 20 bucks. Get a bunch of popsicle sticks and then get a bunch of these, they call them acid brushes. The metal industry, they use them brushing out stuff from the metal lathe, they throw them away. One time and throw it away. I mix it up, I look on the little thing, I pour part A, part B, stir the crap out of it. If you see little clouds in there, you haven't stirred enough. And that's probably the biggest screw up you can do. You can get the mix off 47 and 53 or something, and you can agonize over a scale if you want to. That just ain't me, man. Like my first house when we put in my sprinklers, I had a buddy of mine, I had a shovel, a pig, he had a shovel, we went, yep. You know, the guys come out and they got string lines and all, that just ain't me. There's the engineer over there, he's got the drawings, and he's got a shop that you just play around you ever saw in your life. Anyhow, you mix it up, you stir it up, and when it's spinning, you can either just brush it out or pour it over, and you, here, I'll put this right on you. Pull that one off, show you. Stand by 1 minute, kids. Your call is important to us. We will be with you before too long.
Use it or not use it.
Right.
So how do you have the bolt attached in that coupling?
I have that glued in there also.
Okay.
And it's a good tight jam fit.
The microwave motor, where the little guy's going, can that do the bigger weight, or that's just for little things?
No, I've done something like this size on it. On there. I don't have it with me, but I've done it. Matter of fact, this was set up to do things this size. I just didn't feel like grabbing this thing out. I take everything out on my back porch where it's all screened in, because in my garage there's going to be crap floating around. And you know, the worst thing, you have the bug that wants to do the backstroke in your epoxy. He comes when it's been sitting about an hour. So you ain't getting that guy out of there. And that just, then you got to grind them out and then do it.
Well, someone told me that no one will ever notice those footprints.
Yeah, the damn bug's still there, and his wings fall off, you know.
Can you just put another coat?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
You just call it a Jurassic phase.
Yeah, say I pulled it out of the forest in Newfoundland or something. I was going to show you how to.
DNA from that photo? Do you prefer the microwave over the rotisserie?
Well, I bought this first, and then I said, try that, because I thought, you stick a microwave, they hold some pretty good weight and stuff. I thought, well, it'll work. They cost like $8 or $6, and they come with a switch and a wire and everything. I bought like 6 of them a while back, and I think Lazaro took 3 of them or something.
Where do you get those?
Amazon.
Oh.
Anyhow, say this, okay, this guy's on here. You've stirred your stuff up. You got the puppy spinning, you got some newspaper, plastic, or whatever in here, because you're going to lose a little bit.
You got one plug, right?
No, I got a three-way plug. Oh, I know exactly. It's running.
Oh, well.
There we go. Yeah, I didn't have the screw in there to hold it. Anyhow, you got this running, you've stirred it all up, you've mixed 50-50. Take this thing and I just start drizzling it on there, and I can work from here to here, it doesn't matter. And then what I do on my back porch, I like to look at it at an angle, because I got a cover over it, and I'm looking for reflection, I'm looking for dry spots. In some of these woods, you'll see little spots where it's going inside, you go, what the hell's going on? There's a little spot where it keeps drying. That's why you have more. You just drizzle some more on there and just keep going. You're probably going to spend like 10 minutes, maybe less, altogether. And then you get Mr. Torch, light them up, and I just sit there, and that's good at looking at the angle also. Like I'm looking at the light up there. You can see the bubbles popping, because when you stir it, you're going to stir up bubbles. It's going to happen. And you just sit there and keep doing this for about a minute. And then you know, I may come back out in 15 or 20 minutes and see if there were any other bubbles appear. If they do, you're still good to go. Probably up to at least 30 minutes and go over it. And
You can use a hot air gun too.
you can use the hot air. This is just much easier. And I don't want that, you know, hot air can tend to blow a lot of
Dust around it.
Yeah.
That one little cup, how much coverage would you get out of it?
That would do a coat on there.
Just one coat?
Then I throw the cup out, throw the thing out, maybe save the stirring stick, and do another coat if it needs it later. So when you think 2 gallons, and you're using this much at a time. Now this one, the bigger guy over there, I get a bigger cup and mix. I have some other graduated, or you can just take a cup and make a mark, you know.
I suppose you
eyeball
didn't
it.
have enough in your first batch. And you
I've
started
gone back and said, oh shit, I need to mix a little more, because you got an hour, you got 2 hours.
together.
It just rolls right in. Yeah, I've had it where I go, oh man, I just don't have, you know, I'm scraping the sides, and, you know, so I just need a little more. I would rather have a little too much than too little, because then when you only need that much, you can't mix 2/10 of an ounce. Just make, if you lose a little bit, it costs you nothing. $94. I could do 40 of those for $90. Probably, maybe more.
2 questions. Moisture? Moisture content of the wood?
I haven't, yeah, the wood should be dry, but you know, by the time you do this, you generally, you turn it and let it sit a little bit.
So have you done a total inside of?
Yeah, a smaller, yeah, you just take this thing and bend it so you can get back in here, just bend the damn thing and just stuff it in there.
So even
You're
on
just
the
trying to
end-
get it in there. It don't have to be pretty.
Even on the end on the bottom, it will self-level, it won't sag?
Yeah, even it's on the bottom, it just keeps going around and you're okay. Now, on a lot of the small, I think this one, no, I did this part way down. But most people just reach here. You know, wood turner's gonna come in here and
Get in as far as you can.
you're just
Get the flashlight.
Yeah.
You mentioned you tilted up.
Yeah, that was just because it slipped out one time and I had a big puddle of crap. So I just tilted it up a
But
bit.
if you tilted it doing the inside.
You know, that too, yeah. And that way it kept it from sliding out of here, because these are crappy fitting in here. It's just a thing that, before things go inside, it rattles around. I mean, one other thing I wanted to show you, shows the versatility of it. I didn't know, and I said, well, there's only one way to find out. I said, can you turn one of these guys on here, and will the stuff stick? Because now you got in some crazy shapes and all. And the only thing I noticed is make all of your things rounded over. Don't make any sharp edges, because the epoxy will not stay on a sharp edge. It will roll off there. But I had, you know, obviously the last thing on here was the tenon, which was on the back, and I had this guy spinning on here, and I was able to put it here and put it here, and I got a couple coats on here, and I got an airbrush and sprayed on some cool colors and all, and I like this one because it's cool. And when it sits, you know, show people when it sits on a table, of course when you cut the tenon off, you make sure the center is not thing, or it'll be doing this. What this thing is sitting here, and it's sitting right here. That's the only flat places on there, and I always take I'll run a ruler or a piece of dowel or something, make sure this baby right here is up, does not touch, and you know you got enough. And I know it's a short thing, but I can pass around a couple of these guys so you can see what you can. My wife likes Activia, that stuff, yeah. And those make great little size pieces for making bottle stoppers and all. You can get bigger ones if you want, but I just mixed up some colors of the Pearl X pigments, and you let them sit there until they're almost ready to kick, is the secret. You can't sit there and stir this up. 12 colors will become the color of mud, and it looks like buffalo caca. And but if you leave them and then you pour it around there, and you just swirl, and maybe take a little wire down in there, just one little, like an S, and pull it out, and leave it the hell alone. By the time you turn it, they come out really cool. And those are probably two coats on there. So you mix up, that's why why I made this also. Mix up one of those little things I can do several at once. And again, you don't sand anything. You just put it on there and you walk away. If you want to put a little car wax on there to make it really feel soft or something, that's fine too. But on a bottle stopper, I think you want to be able to have something in your hand that slip on, you want to grab it. And
And if you like the gift recipient.
what's that?
Depends how much you like the gift recipient.
Yeah.
Make it real slippery.
Or stick some thorns in it or something.
So Gary, did you ever try to use double-sided tape for applying and holding it to spin?
You know, usually by the time you turn something, it doesn't weigh much. It probably worked fine. Like if you had one, you go, God, I wish I had another color. I'm sure I could. And again, like I say in the instructions, this doesn't have to be perfect. This is not a crankshaft for a Formula One engine that costs $700,000. This is turning 4 RPM. So if it goes a little bit, it goes for 4. It will absolutely self-level. So I'm sure I could put double stick tape on here if I said, man, I really wish I'd put another coat, and stick it up, and just have a disc against here. You'd have to, you got a lathe, so you can make yourself a little thing, stick it on there, tape away. And I think I'd make the disc I stuck it to a little smaller than this, so you can get in there and sand it out without having to touch the
You could
side.
just leave a tenon on the bottom of it too.
Oh yeah, but I said, what if you finish one and you cut the tenon and you go, oh crap, there's a spot, I didn't see it. You could double side tape it, because it doesn't weigh nothing. And that double sided tape is some strong stuff.
Yeah,
I've had stuff had to get a screwdriver in there, and
I've seen a couple of YouTubes where they use double-sided tape. I've done it once with the double-sided, and it sticks, but it wants to, after a while, it wants to pull away a little bit, then it's going.
you see that the problem, you can't sit there and go push it back on there, because you're going to have a handful of epoxy, and then your wife hears
But
very
it worked
foul
out-
language.
It worked out okay, but, I'm not sure that I would,
Yeah.
you've got the perfect setup there, so.
I mean, maybe we'll go down to Igor's one, the next time I come, I'll have a 3-speed transmission reverse. We'll paint some pinstripes and all kinds of, but I just low tech. Piece of wood, 2x4s and whatnot laying around the garage, throw that thing together, and it does what I need. The newer ones I've got of these guys, I thought I brought a kit with me that you ordered from Amazon, but it's on that handout. They have these, you can come up and look, they've got these brass fittings that come with it. And it made it even easier because these things, I don't know how many times
Is
I
that
can
the
keep
microwave
sticking
motor?
this.
The idea with the one with the 4? The one with the 4, is that the microwave motor?
Yeah, that's 4 microwave motors. 2 are the older things, 2 are the newer ones with the brass fittings, the switch and everything. You can buy 6 of them for like $40. So give it somebody else. Like this one, I just drilled a hole that was a little tighter than this is. I don't know how many times I can use this till it won't hold anymore. I could probably just stick some tissue in there and jam it on there again. But it's still tight on here. But the new one with these brass fittings, you come up and look at them, and then you got this thing in here. I think they're a little better, but everything works.
Here? Cool. On the epoxy that you used, is it, in this particular, I know the brand, you mentioned it before, but is there any particular not shelf life, a time to set up that you look for, or some viscosity, or
Uh,
something
on-
else you can use that you've tried using?
I've noticed if it's a real dry day and good and hot, you can turn that motor off in 2 hours.
I guess what I'm asking, is there any other epoxy that you can use other than the one that you use
I'm sure. I'm sure about any epoxy made.
Bought from Amazon.
from Amazon?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
No.
I buy little 16-ounce bottles. I don't have room to store 2 gallons.
Right.
I like to buy 2 little 16-ounce bottles. They last me for a year.
Yeah,
I throw
it doesn't go
them out.
bad. It doesn't go bad.
Yeah, I'll send you the link.
Okay.
They like $24 for 16 ounces. It's not
Was it 8 and 8?
Yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
And that'll still do a lot.
yeah. And
I burn up more doing these because it's all epoxy than these, which you're just coating the outside, like this one. I think this was one coat. And I think when I put the paint on there, that sealed a bunch of it also.
David, one thing to one answer to your question. Don't get the D4 epoxy
Yeah.
to use on the outside. It won't. I mean, it'll work, but it's not as good as the.
What did you say?
It's called D4. You can do 2 or up to 4 inches of epoxy.
Uh-huh.
It's slow heating, so it doesn't cure quickly. It takes literally almost 24 hours before you can handle it. So don't use the deep.
Yeah, I think they refer to
I have-
that as
I have a friend,
caffeine resin.
I have a friend
Is that- I think, is that right? Yeah.
that's in the business of making the epoxy clothes forms. He sells 30, 40 at a show,
Yeah.
all right? And I was getting some information from him because I wanted to know, I heard you and I wanted to see what he did. And he said, don't waste your money on expensive epoxy. Get the cheapest epoxy you can find. It works just as well, it kicks quicker, and it gives you just as good. For what we want, it's the best. And that's the cheapest epoxy I've found.
Yeah, and this stuff is tough as, I had something sitting on my table saw, cast iron, 35-year-old table saw. I had one of them, I knocked it, it bounced off the table saw, and then onto my concrete garage floor. And I'm, God,
Yeah.
little bitty thing. It's sold. They didn't even notice it. And they probably aren't ever going to notice it.
Right, right.
This stuff will take a
And that up in Oakland Park, that's good epoxy.
They
I bought
make
4 gallons.
They make 50 types of epoxy. He told me they make some kind of mixture formulation where the roads in Costa Rica, because of the rains and all, they mix it in with the asphalt or whatever they make the roads in, and then selling 55-gallon drum truckloads of that stuff. I mean, they make a million formulations there. It's great stuff. I swear by it. I've used.
It's probably the least expensive of all the coating epoxies that you can find online or anything.
Oh yeah. Usually you see like Aluminite and all that, that's 90
Yeah.
bucks for 1 gallon.
Yeah.
And then you got to, that's heavy stuff. You got to pay the shipping. That'll knock you another 35 bucks.
Yeah.
I drive up to Oakland Park and get 2 gallons. I'm not going to be back there for 2 years.
Like-
My first,
Constantine's sells 1.5 gallons for $270.
yeah, it's a 2-to-1 mix. Yeah. Yeah.
$270.
I think the big consideration is the setup time, right?
Yeah, that's
Like
right.
Aluminite is like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't want to put that on.
No, because, and I'll tell you one thing, what you have to be cognizant of, I put it in here, you're going to lose a few of these hairs. So that's another thing. You keep looking at it, and if you see a hair in there, just pull it out. Stick it on your newspaper now. You're going to lose a couple. And if it's a dry spot there, okay, you still got some in your thing, just drizzle it over that area. By the time it does about 4 laps, you never know everything. That's the only, these will lose hairs on. You lose 3 or 4. And I've had a couple, when it got done is when I found the damn thing. But especially if I'm doing with these colors in there, good luck finding it, Lewis and Clark couldn't find some of them probably.
Okay, you're complaining about the piece of the wire you're making. Here's what I found. For the rotisserie motor, you go to your favorite hardware store and you buy yourself a 3/8/16 tap.
What?
A metal tap.
Yep.
And that thing fits in there like it was made to go in there. Because taps come with a square shoulder in the back. That square is the exact same size square.
As back in here? Back in here?
So go buy yourself a 3/16.
I have a 3/8/16.
tap.
So just tap that bad boy and then I can.
No, you don't have to tap it. The tap itself
Oh,
become that screw.
Oh, okay, make
That
that,
thing's got a perfectly square shoulder on the back.
oh, yeah, because where you put your tap wrench. Yeah,
I like it a lot.
yeah.
Because that's what I'm using, I do the same system, and I was looking for something square to make sure it fits in there. The top set was later on, 3/8/16 fits just right.
3/8?
3/8/16. If you guys know, there's taps and there's dies. You run the die with the thing over here when your threads are all screwed up. And the tap is where you drill a hole a little bit, so you put that, you take a couple laps and you back it off and they break the swarf or whatever they call it. You get that chip out of there and you twist it in a little more. Yeah, you can do that. But I've had such good luck with this.
I'm just saying, you complain
Yeah.
that it's very loose fitted.
I kept saying, I'm going to make a nice one now. I'm going to get some nice plywood. And I said, why?
It
works.
There's been, my brother made a power hacksaw, and he's always been planning on fixing it up, but then he says, it works.
It
Why
works every
bother?"
time you use it, yeah. Is there something I need to show here? No.
Have you got pictures of all of that you can?
Yeah, and I think, the handout, I
So Gary-
sent it to Laura, I don't know if she's, Larry, I don't know
Yeah,
if she-
I have it, and I waited till after your presentation, I'll send it out
So
to
you've got all
everybody
the
today.
pictures of the
Yeah.
The parts, yeah.
and,
Yeah,
And I got a couple more where I laid them on my kitchen table, said this was a 1x8 fitting, sprinkler section, and you can see it. You can come up and take a picture here if you want. Female fitting, male fitting,
I don't have-
transgender fittings, they were out of, so.
You just looked in the wrong bathroom.
Yeah, if I catch a guy going in my granddaughter's bathroom, I'm going to identify it as the tooth fairy. Either he's going to the hospital or I am, but one of us will.
Gary, on in your machine now, that looks like it was turned vertically, was it?
No, it's colored vertically. I got a little thing you do
Looks like
here.
it was dribbled.
I got a Lazy Susan. I set one of these on it. I get a funnel, and I put my little pinky here on the bottom of the little small funnel. Red, blue, green, whatever. Do it 3 or 4 times, fill it up. And while that's spinning, I remove Mr. Pinky quickly, and he just goes, and I'll tell you what, if you screw up, go out to a bucket of water, dump it, and do it again. You can't, again, it's just like the epoxy. Basically, you cannot go back and fix it. It comes out, like this one came out great. 2 times before that, it came out looking like armadillo excrement or something. It was not good. And so I just redid it again. It was still wet. Didn't care.
Is the Lazy Susan turning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I spun it by hand. I just,
Oh,
and I went, and you just drop it. I was putting a balloon in there, and I'd fill it up and then tie it. And what I may do on some future ones, I'm going to try an experiment. I'm not going to hollow the inside till I do everything. Then you're going to have to be careful that your tool doesn't get this on the way, because it'll mess up. And then I'm going to hollow it out, and always round your edges. If they're like you can come see here. It's a little sharp right here, and it's a little sharp right there. I could probably put 2 more coats, and then this thing's going to weigh 15 pounds, and I don't want that. Any other questions?
sir.
Actually,
Gary, on the sequence, that still bothers me. You've got the colored stuff, and then you put epoxy over the color.
yeah, let the color. And that stuff dries in 5 minutes. Put it out in the sun.
Yeah, all right, I see it coming
It's
down.
acrylic paint. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, acrylic paint. dries
Yeah,
quickly.
it's spinning on there. It's done. I go, okay, yeah, looks good. Throw it on. Still have the tenon, like this guy still has the tenon on. And I'll cut this away, put it back on the lathe. Right here, put this in the chuck, cut that away, sand the bottom, and
So your little funnel idea with your finger is like they do with the acrylic pours, because you're not mixing it, the colors will go where they will go.
yeah. And this one I put in there with that silicone oil. When I bought something, I had a little thing of silicone oil. It makes these like cells and stuff.
Right.
Every time I've seen acrylic pour, it's mainly like Lazy Susans and flat thing. I said, well, I'm going to do it on this. I love it. Especially if you have a crappy piece of wood. If you have a beautiful piece of mahogany, it's got beautiful grain. God has done all the work, you ain't gonna improve it. But when you got a crappy piece of wood, it has no color or whatever, do that.
Excellent.
Dave is always telling me for years, Gary, you're a genius. He says, no, you're a genius. I go, well, thanks, Dave. He goes, yeah, I kind of consider you like an alien with dementia and autism. And I said, Dave, thank you, buddy. That's good.
Or an idiot savant?
What's that?
An idiot savant?
I have bouts of craniorectosis all the time anymore. They used to be farther apart. Now it's all the time, but I don't care.
Gets worse.
You're almost ready to be a congressman.
Yeah.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Gary. Appreciate it.